The newly emerging Israel wine route. Is it just a fad, a tourist attraction, or is there a basis for it? I asked Israel's leading wine expert, Adam Montefiore, to tell us about it. Adam.
Well, in fact, it's a new trend, but it has a basis in 5,000 years of winemaking. We have a history of winemaking which goes back almost longer than any other European country. Almost 2,000 years before the Greeks and the Romans took the vine to Europe. They were making wine in what has become Israel. So we have a long history, and it's written into our culture, into our religious ritual, into our archaeology, into our history. But it's only in the last 10, 15 years that this long history has turned into a wine industry of real quality. It's not a fad, it's a real wave almost, and it's occurring not just with the famous wineries, with lots of smaller ones too. The most exciting thing from my point of view is not only we've got these boutique wineries providing a lot of colour and variety, we've got the bigger wineries that have also entered the competition of making quality wine, and they provide a bit of muscle, and the two together means that the wine industry is developing by leaps and bounds.
Israel has always been associated, I think, more with kosher wines, not with real quality wines. What actually goes into making a kosher wine? Why is it kosher?
It's basically kosher only for two reasons. Firstly, the workers in the winery have to be Shomrei Shabbat, they have to be religious observant Jews. And secondly, we're not allowed to use anything unkosher in the winemaking process, obviously. So everyone has to follow the basic rules. And the emphasis in kosher wine is on the handler, not on the source. In food, the emphasis is on the source. The chef does not have to be a religious Jew. In wine, he does. There is nothing in kosher winemaking which affects the quality of the product. If it's badly made, it's a bad wine. If it's well made, it's a good wine. And in the first ever tasting by Robert Parker, the American critic of Israeli wines, the best 6 wines happen to be the kosher ones. Just to give you an example, Yatir finished up with 93 points. And no Israeli wine and no kosher wine and no wine from the Eastern Mediterranean had ever reached 93 points from this critic. So it just shows the world that kosher wine can genuinely be a world-class wine. Yatir is one of the many boutique wineries. They say there's 100 boutique wineries 200 boutique wineries in Israel. Each one of them is trying to make good wine. Each one is owned by someone who really cares about leaving his imprint on the product that he produces. It's all very personal. But the most exciting thing is all the big wineries have also adapted to the new competition and had their own revolution. I work for Carmel Winery, which is the historic winery of Israel, founded by the Rothschilds in the 1880s. And Carmel in the last 10 years has also gone through a revolution, planting new vineyards in the higher altitude areas, building new boutique wineries, and employing new young, highly qualified winemakers. And this wine, which is part of the Appellation series, Sidrat Ezuri in Hebrew, is one of the results of that.
So how many bottles do you think are produced in Israel a year?
Well, in fact, in wine, it's about 35 million bottles, which sounds a lot, but it's very, very small. Only about 5% of that goes towards export, because what's happening in Israel, more and more people are drinking in Israel, and more people are learning about wine, and they might not be drinking more, but they're drinking better.
Do you see Israel being able to export wine on a commercial basis?
We're very small, and we're very insignificant in the world of wine, but I can say two things. Firstly, Israel makes outstandingly the best kosher wines in the world. And there's a lot of potential, and people are looking for slightly exotic, different wine countries abroad, and Israel is one of those. A bottle of wine is something great that's coming from Israel, that is, you can feel, you can taste it, and it's got a story behind it, and it really is a world-class product. So I think we should be very proud of our wines. If you want to learn more about the variety of wines in Israel, there is this book, The Wine Route of Israel, and it lists all the wineries in English. There's a version in Hebrew as well, with ways of how to get there, with a map, And it really comes home how big the industry is becoming when you think that every page in this book is devoted to a different winery. And if you're looking to colour the industry a bit more, obviously wine is related with food. The same time that all these boutique wineries were opening was when the revolution also happened in food, and in the 90s. And this is a book that tries to capture it all with great pictures and some good recipes. So this is the book of New Israeli Food, A Culinary Journey by Jana Gur, and the other one's The Wine Route of Israel.
Thank you, Adam, for talking to us today.
Thank you.
To us and our good fortune, be happy, be healthy, long life. And if our good fortune never comes, here's to whatever comes.